Welcome, everybody. Tonight we are here with DVR and the Milwaukee LGBT Community Center. We are going to discuss how together we can help people, LGBTQ plus people who are unemployed or underemployed, explore educational opportunities as an LGBTQ person with disabilities. So welcome. Just so you all know, I'm going to, this will be recorded, and I'm going to put a form for a survey that we'll ask you to fill out to let us know how we can improve and different topics you want for future educational sessions. Okay. So again, welcome. We are glad you're here. I'm Christy Carter. I'm the Aging and Disability Coordinator at the Milwaukee LGBT Center, and I'm joined with my colleagues from DVR. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Jolene Cooley. I am a vocational rehabilitation counselor advanced here in the Milwaukee area.
And my name is Keith Knutson. I'm a division of vocational rehabilitation counselor at Milwaukee Central Office.
Tonight we're going to kind of break this session up into a few objectives. So the first one, we're going to talk about what is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, or DVR, and how can DVR services help you better your employment, and then how do people with disabilities that provide barriers to, how do we help people with disabilities that provide barriers to employment services? And we're going to discuss how DVR and the Milwaukee LGBT Center can best work as partners to support and provide resources for LGBTQ people with disabilities. So I'm gonna first go over the center's mission and vision. I won't read it word for word because you all don't need me to do that. But the center is there in Milwaukee to further help our vibrant lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community and in the greater Milwaukee area, improving our quality of life. And it's supported by the center's leadership. We do health promotion, advocacy, and communications. And we are here to support and celebrate LGBT folks and all of our services, including LGBT folks with disabilities. So first, I'm going to discuss some LGBTQ disability issues. A lot of folks that are LGBT and disabled have limited access to fully inclusive healthcare. They have limited access to fully inclusive community programs. They have increased risk to social isolation because maybe there are barriers like driving, increased discrimination, related healthcare, but also in the schools, higher rates of harassment, bullying, or exclusion, higher school dropout rates. They're overrepresented in the juvenile and criminal justice system, and there's invisibility in both the LGBT community and the disability community that overlap. And they're also more likely to have mental health conditions because of the discrimination that they face, and they might be more apt to not go or not get preventative services from doctors or healthcare professionals because of discrimination or things they're worried about from their past. I always like to go over some statistics. This is from the Movement Advancement Project, but an estimated 3 to 5 million, there are an estimated 3 to 5 million LGBT people that have disabilities. I always like to stop here and say that we're out there, we exist, we're not going anywhere, and folks that provide us services or that we need to get assistance need to realize we're out there. 40% of these folks are bisexual men, 36% identify as lesbian women, 36% identify as bisexual women, 26% of Those folks are gay men, 2 in 5 are transgender adults, and 1 in 4 are LGBT adults. So that's a pretty sizable number there. Oh, let's see. Can I go back? Okay. So related to this, according to the Movement Advancement Project of 2017, oh, sorry, 36% of adults with a disability were employed compared to 77% without a disability. And some of the reasons why are some of what I've mentioned before. There's an economic disparity is greater when you add discrimination related to sexual orientation and gender identity. And there's also more discrimination when you're talking about employing folks with disabilities. 8.8% of LGBTQ people who receive unemployment are disabled. So that's a considerable number. And that's compared to 5.4% of LGBTQ people who receive unemployment who are not disabled. So that is a pretty sizable number. We'll go to the next slide. And now Jolene and Keith.
So what is DVR? DVR is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, which is a state agency within the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development that develops the occupational talent of individuals with disabilities. Our funding is set forth where we have 78.7% federal funding and 21.3% state match funding. So then we can go to the next slide.
Yep.
DVR provides individualized services to people with disabilities who want to work. Services include but are not limited to vocational counseling, skill development, temporary work experiences, supported employment, and education necessary to achieve career goals. So to be eligible for DVR services, you must have a documented medical or physiological, psychological, or disability that presents a barrier to employment and requires DVR services. DVR staff will work with the applicant to gather needed documentation and information releases, schedule meetings to discuss applicants' disability and needs, to use existing information to the greatest extent possible, including from an IEP, functional screen, and previous medical records, and to refer for additional assessment if needed. DVR's part is to respect you as an individual with the right responsibility to participate in and make decisions about your vocational future. We will provide equal access to underserved populations, work in partnerships with you to find or keep employment leading to increased self-sufficiency and full inclusion in society, and provide technical assistance and guidance to individuals who require it to exercise informed choice, select an inappropriate or appropriate rather, select an appropriate employment outcome, and develop a plan for services. And Jolene's going to talk to us about career pathways.
Yeah. So part of when we work with people with disabilities who are eligible for services, we can help them with either getting a job, maintaining if they need help. But the other part with the career pathways is the part of the eligibility where to help you get a better job. So this is kind of where we'll kind of touch about how DVR would be able to help an individual coming to DVR that maybe isn't an underpaying job, but they're looking to have a better job that they'd be able to have a livable wage on. This is kind of where like kind of looking into that career pathways for that individual to help with them to be able to advance into the next step. So these might be people who are coming to DVR that already have a job, but they're looking for that next step in that pathway. So to give you kind of an example, there could be an individual who is looking to advance from their position. They're maybe working as a web designer and they're wanting to move into a mobile app support. After found eligible, DVR can assist that person with researching programs to obtain the certification needed to work in the field. The DVR training grant could potentially provide aid for the post-secondary training, internship work experience to gain experience in that new field, to kind of to build up into that next step into that career pathway. Other ways that you could look is if we have someone that comes in that has worked as an HVAC technician for many years, but is now looking to career advance into maybe like being a plumber. DVR can partner with the apprenticeship program to assist the individual in securing a registered paid diploma as a plumber. If they need help finding an employer to sponsor their apprenticeship, DVR can assist with finding that as well as work tools, clothing, anything that they might need to be able to start that apprenticeship to be successful. So it's always building up a higher into that career ladder. The last example I could provide is something maybe in the medical field. So if you have someone who's been like a home health aide for many years, but now they're coming to DVR because they need some assistance in working to become a medical assistant. That's where they kind of want to advance to, from there. DVR can work with them again, researching on the programs to be able to become a medical assistant. I think it's a technical diploma or an associate degree from a local technical college. Through the DVR training grant, we can provide them potentially with some grant money to help pay for school, secure an internship for hands-on learning for their careers for during school, work clothes tour, tools, anything that they might need to start their new careers. So just to kind of focus that DVR, we are also here to help individuals who are ready to move forward into their career. They want to advance from where they are now. And that's some of the ways that DVR can help with. If you are someone who's listening right now and you are working with DVR right now, maybe have a conversation with your counselor or your specialist if you are interested in pursuing something a little bit higher up on the ladder for your career. Okay, and these are just some of the examples of what DVR can do for individuals, whether if you're coming in first because you need help finding a job, that maintaining or getting advancing in your career. So that vocational counseling and guidance, job development, transition services. So high schoolers, we work with high schoolers, helping them transition to the world of work. Supported employment for those individuals with some more significant limitations to employment, having that support to help them be successful working in adult. The rehab tech services, disability license. We do have small business plan development, interpreter services for those who are deaf or hard of hearing and would need either an interpreter or closed captioning to be able to work within our program. One of the things that with DVR is our goal is with everyone who comes into the door is that we want to close your case successfully working. You've worked with DVR, however long it takes to reach that long-term employment goal. You've got your employment, you've been working successfully for 90 days. That is our goal, is to close you successfully working. You have been rehabilitated. For consumers who are in supported or customized employment, our 90-day clock of follow along helps with that when we transition you from your long-term from DVR paying for your job coach to maybe Iris or family care or private pay or however that transition would look. When we close people, we're able to service consumers who are waiting for services on wait lists, and individuals can come back to DVR at any time when you need services to either get a job, keep a job, or you're looking to now advance into your career pathway. And this is just a snapshot from program year 2019 to show you kind of the national data versus Wisconsin. Nationally at a $12 wage, but with Wisconsin, we were averaging $14.20. So in Wisconsin, we were able to assist our consumers in finding a little bit higher paying job than the national average. Still about that part-time average for all the consumers that we were doing. And then 87 compared to 80% of the national avenue, we're making less than $17 an hour. but 38% over the 20% for the national was having private insurance. They're having insurance for their employment.
These are the takeaways, or what we hope you learn from the presentation. So Keith and Jolene talked about what DVR is, how DVR can help you better your employment, how to access DVR services as a person with a disability, and now at the last part, we are going to talk about how DVR and the Milwaukee LGBT Community Center can best work together as partners to support you and support LGBTQ people with disabilities. Julian, do you want?
This is contact information for myself, Keith. Casey, who is also going to present, was unable to present tonight. If you have questions, concerns, you can reach out. You can call any one of us. You can email us, and we'd be happy to help you answer your questions or direct you to where you need to go. If you're contacting us about questions within like a different county within Wisconsin, we can connect you to your local DVR office as well.
And then I just want to talk a little bit about some of our services at the Milwaukee LGBT Center. But before I begin going over this list, I want to let you know that the best way to find the most up-to-date services that we offer is through our website, and that's www.mkelgbt.org. But I'll talk about many of the things listed here. So again, like I said, I'm the Aging and Disability Coordinator. I provide services for folks that are 60 and older, or sometimes a little bit younger than 60, and then folks with disabilities. So we have the 50 and better, or FAB support group, and that meets weekly on a Wednesday. And you can contact me for more information. For 2.5 years, myself, along with a partnership with Independence First, we've been doing an LGBTQ disability support group. As like I said, there is some overlap between folks that are LGBT and folks with disabilities, and that is the second and the fourth Mondays of the month from 2:30 to 4:30. We also do virtual social events like family coffee. That's the first Saturday of every month. And then we are a county meal site. So that means we do meals for folks that are 60 and older on the fourth Wednesday of the month. We also have our monthly older adult advisory committee meetings and monthly older adult educational sessions, and educational sessions like this one related to disability. And then we have an older adult newsletter. Besides that, there's plenty of other programming for folks that are transgender and non-conforming youth support groups, support groups for folks that are in AODA or need AODA support, as well as other social activities. But the best way to find out the most up-to-date information is, again, our website. We also provide support groups for parents. So I know that's something that can be very helpful, because it can sometimes be hard when you're navigating not only disability services, but also LGBT services, or when you're when a child needs some support. Also, I work with SAGE, which is the National Organization for LGBT Elders, and I've created fact sheets through SAGE, and there are fact sheets that are specifically related to disability, and not only about how to access services and making them sure that they're person-centered, but also how people can make pride events and events more accessible to folks that are LGBT and have disabilities. So also, the Wisconsin LGBT Chamber of Commerce does have job fairs or resource fairs for folks that identify as LGBT. I've also connected with them in the past. And that if you're looking for employment, that could be something that maybe you go to Jolene or Keith or somebody in DVR and say, hey, I identify this way, and then they can connect you and kind of work with you with the chamber. Or that's just another option or avenue that you could have. And then I also wanted to say that the Milwaukee LGBT Center does offer safety planning for youth, adults, and folks with disabilities. We want everybody that receives our services to be safe, but we realize that, you know, sometimes life happens and you run into situations where you need support, and we're there to help you with that support and offer you those resources. Jillian and Keith, do you want to talk about the links here?
These are just the links to just the DVR general website to our career pathways, talking about looking for that assistance into advancing into your career. And the last one was just the link that'll take you straight to how to apply for DVR. I also provided the link to the DVR website in the chat, as well as the Milwaukee LGBT Community Center. So you can just click straight on that from the chat as well.
Thank you. And then as we've been saying throughout this whole presentation, if you have questions, Jillian, Keith, and Casey has left their information, and I have a slide that has my information. We are here. We want to support you. We see you and we realize that you're there. So just feel free to reach out to us with any questions or support we can offer. And thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. I'm going to stop the recording and